Looking forward now, Professor, let's talk about India-Bangladesh ties really, and how does this result impact the bilateral relationship between the two countries. Both you and the ambassador touched upon it, but I would like to dig a little more deeper over the next 10 minutes or so.
Well, first, go back to the domestic challenges. I think one major challenge before Hasina is that she should not take to, authoritarian trends. There's a lot of fear in Bangladesh about that. With such a massive majority, she can do anything, but she should not do things which are not democratic. And Bangladesh pattern should not go on some of the Southeast Asian countries' patterns of one-party dominant system. So there is a real challenge for her to create a space for democratization of the polity, besides restoring credibility of the institutions, as the ambassador said.
This result, Professor, is it also a great opportunity really for Sheikh Hasina going forward?
Yes, exactly.
To set the wrongs right.
From a political leader, she should now emerge as a stateswoman and show that she knows what this country really needs. She has been, as I mentioned earlier, she has been able to establish the credibility of independence struggle and brought back the freedom movement spirit in the country. Now it is time to build Bangladesh for future. She has done a great deal so far as economic output is concerned, but she has to go into the social, political and institutional aspects of the country. There is a lot more people who are poor, who have to be brought up. Despite economic growth, equality is not there. There are several issues, and I think she should look into it. Coming to India, one of the major concern in India is China's influence. I think we must understand and be very cautious and careful about it, even sensitive towards Bangladesh, that Bangladesh has relations with China for a very, very long time. And the Chinese have tremendous influence even in the Bangladesh security forces, to the extent that they always treated India as a threat. Thanks to the relations in last decade between India and Bangladesh, that Bangladesh has set aside that kind of a perception and are willing to cooperate with India on all matters. So we must be sure, and I think Hasina has so far been very accommodative, not allow Chinese to do something in Bangladesh which might impinge on the security and autonomy of Bangladesh and security of India also. Chittagong port. They wanted to have a deep sea port. They wanted to come in there. Deep sea port is yes, but should it be handed over to the Chinese like they have taken Hambantota or anything? These are the issues which we must be very careful about it. And we would expect Bangladesh to be very sensitive so far as India's security concerns are related.
All right. And Ambassador, how big a concern really is China, do you think, going forward? Is that something that we should still be wary about, despite the robust ties, despite the robust bilateral relationship between the two countries?
Look, I think we have to be realistic. China will be a development partner for Bangladesh, as it is for many other countries in our region and beyond. China is also one of our largest trading partners. We have a trade deficit of 60 billion with China. So I think everybody has been dealing with China. But I think Bangladesh is fully conscious and very sensitive to the fact that it will not cross a red line which will create suspicions or security problems for India. I think that factor is very well known. And I don't think that will happen as far as Hasina is concerned. It won't happen under any government, I think, because I think Bangladesh as a whole realizes that good relations with India is good for their economy, it's good for India, it's good for everybody, good for the people. And I think but again, her challenges are many. And I think after all, Bangladesh also is not a very developed country, but it has done very well on the economic front. But there are many, many challenges. Joblessness is one. Inequitable growth is one. The rich-poor divide is one. And I think the main thing is also that they have to expand their export basket, which is limited to garments in the sense that
they should look beyond.
They have to expand the economic content of their exports.
All right. Ashish Shukla, you know, the Prime Minister Narendra Modi was the first head of state really to congratulate Sheikh Hasina on her victory. What does that say about the ties between the two countries?
That says the importance India attaches to its neighbor, Bangladesh. I mean, if you remember correctly, I mean, during Sushma Swaraj's visit to Dhaka, she was categorical in highlighting that, look, India's neighborhood first policy, in India's neighborhood first policy, Bangladesh comes first. And Bangladesh is quite important for us for many, many reasons, like we have the Siliguri corridor. And many people think that Bangladesh is India locked, but in fact, if you see the map, we would say that you would be able to understand that, look, our northeast is actually Bangladesh locked. So if Bangladesh doesn't cooperate with you, so you may have certain issues. So in that sense, India attaches the kind of importance which Bangladesh deserves, and Prime Minister Modi did the right thing to congratulate her first, immediately after her election victory.
You know, what does the third term mean for the ties between India and Bangladesh? What can we expect over the next few years to come, Professor?
No, I think we should expect consolidation. But I must add here that, look, there are still pending issues from the Bangladesh side which we have to sort out. The biggest issue is Tistali.
Yes.
Now, the agreement has been already signed between the two. I mean, it's almost ready in terms of the draft and other things. Negotiations are all over, which was done even during the last the UPA government. And Mr. Modi should have signed it. Now, they have not been able to sign it, to my mind, largely because of political factors, that maybe the ruling party would want to have an influence in Bengal, therefore they do not want to do things in a hurry. But these are not the national issues. Therefore, in terms of national interest, I think Mr. Modi has the strength in parliament, and he should have gone forward and signed it, and we must complete it, because thank God it did not become an electoral issue. In Bangladesh, it could have. Then there are smaller issues like border smuggling, the role of the border security forces. Some of the terrorist and insurgent groups still continue to cross each other. The NRC issue and its fallout which might happen. We must assure Bangladesh and Rohingya. I mean, they were very unhappy on the initial position which we took on Rohingya. Even now it is a big issue whether Rohingya should go back to Myanmar, how should they go back, and if they don't go back, how will Bangladesh bear the burden of that? So there are issues involved, and I think India should come forward to whatever extent it is capable to help Bangladesh resolve some of these issues, and there should be least bilateral contentious problems on the table.
All right. And Ambassador, what aspects of the bilateral relationship need special attention immediately and maybe in the long run, do you think?
I think the defense relationship between the two countries and security relationship is an important domain that we need to work on a lot. And I think a lot has been done in terms of intelligence exchange and cooperation, which has led to certainly the insurgencies and other terrorists and other groups being on the back foot. But I think the border is a huge challenge. I think we need to upgrade the border facilities. Some of it is being done, but I think this is such a long border that we need far more border trading stations, the land custom stations, and the integrated checkposts, etc. I think that is lagging. I think the border infrastructure is lagging, and I think border management. The fact is that people do cross and over to each other's territory. So that has to be controlled, that has to be monitored, because this can lead to groups which are inimical to the interests of both countries that can come and go. The other example is a fake Indian currency, which tends to come in through Bangladesh, through Malda district mainly. So there are obviously smuggling routes there which do all these things. So there are all these micro challenges that are there. But overall, I think the relationship is on a very sound footing. And with the return of Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, I think we can expect certainly a far more degree of consolidation and perhaps venture into new areas like cooperation under BIMSTEC, the Bay of Bengal community, and many other issues like that.
All right. And Ashish Shukla, how do we enhance the already robust ties between the two countries?
That is the real challenge actually. We have an excellent relations in the recent past, and we have to maintain that momentum. To begin with, I mean, we have already offered up to 8 billions of line of credit to Bangladesh, and I think that we should focus on completing the projects which have already been identified under these. I mean, there is a concern in Bangladesh that though we have offered a lot of credit to Bangladesh, but they have not been able to complete projects. I mean, 2 to 3 billion I think have been already used, but we should focus that all the 8 billions are actually spent on the projects which have already been identified. And apart from that, we should continue cooperation in the in countering terrorism, which is also important area. And as mentioned by Ambassador Chakravarti, that smuggling and other issues are also to be taken up. So gradually.
Right. Okay. Quick closing comments from all my guests. Starting first with you, Professor.
A landmark position today we have, and I think both the countries should decide to redefine the relationship on a more firmer grounds for future, not only in bilateral context but also in the regional, in Bay of Bengal context, not only BIMSTEC, I would say, even I said what you call the blue economy, which they can start using now that the maritime boundary has been decided to the satisfaction of both of them.
All right, Ambassador?
I think what we need as a vision for the future is a certain amount of strategic integration between the two countries. And when I say strategic integration, I include everything. Defense, security. I think we have to ramp up the strategic integration and connectivity, all these things, because Bangladesh is geographically located in such a region that this connectivity is going to help both countries. And I think that is what we need to do.
It's high time we stop looking at Bangladesh traditionally and look at new avenues, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. We have to look at new things. I mean, cyberspace, for example. We already have an agreement which was reached last time for Bangladesh providing connectivity from Chittagong to Agartala. So there are many other issues like that. The cyber domain is going to be the future of future of lots of things, including cyber crimes and cyber attacks. So I think that is one area where we have some expertise and we can help Bangladesh. The other areas, of course, oil and gas, energy. Both are energy deficient countries, and the Bay of Bengal does provide a certain amount of opportunity for energy exploration and so that we can both work towards consumption of that energy which we can discover.
Absolutely. Ashish Shukla, close the show for us with your concluding remarks.
Yeah, we are already cooperating on connectivity projects, but I think we should take it on a priority basis. Like BBIN, we have not been able to move the kind of speed which we were expecting, so we should also cooperate in that area, and so that the cooperation could be strengthened further.
All right. On that note, then, we'll call it a wrap on this edition of India's World. Thank you to all my guests for joining me on the program and putting things into perspective for us. We'd like to